Hey everyone, Rusty Ingalls here and welcome back to Retro Games Rediscovered, the channel where we deep dive into the best of retro gaming. Today we're pitting two iconic machines head to head, the compact and quirky Amiga 600 versus the powerhouse that is the Amiga 1200. Both of these machines had their place in the early 90s, but which one truly stands tall? Before we get stuck in, don't forget to like, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new retro battle. Now, grab your joystick, because this is going to be a battle of specs, sales, and pure nostalgia. In the early 1990s, the legendary Amiga 500 was due for an update. This popular machine, released in 1987, was becoming outdated as games grew more complex, requiring more memory and processing power. Commodore, in response, originally developed a successor called the Amiga 300. Officially, this model doesn't exist, at least not by name. But if you open up an early Amiga 600 case, you might just find Amiga 300 printed on the motherboard, revealing its origin. The Amiga 300 was intended to be a smaller, more affordable gaming machine. To make it more compact and budget-friendly, the design removed the numeric keypad and the Zorro expansion port. However, costs didn't go down as planned. With surface mount technology and new connectivity, the Amiga 300's production costs ended up matching the Amiga 500's, so Commodore made a last-minute rebranding and launched it as the Amiga 600 in 1992 at the same price.
Computer game starring me and my pal Giant.
The Amiga 600, or Junebug as it was codenamed, featured a sleek design that kept it portable while still adding modern features like internal hard drive support and a PCMCIA slot for flexible expansion options. With a little extra RAM, hard drive potential, and built-in color composite output, it offered just enough upgrades for those wanting a modernized Amiga, although it maintained a similar price to the Amiga 500 Plus. But just a few months later, Commodore introduced the Amiga 1200, also in 1992, which promised a massive leap in power with the new AGA chipset, which I'll talk about more later in the video. The 1200 was aimed at the more advanced user, offering a 32-bit experience that far surpassed the 600 in terms of performance and graphical capabilities. So I'd say the Amiga 1200 wins this round. Now let's get down to the nitty-gritty with a side-by-side comparison of the tech specs. The Amiga 600 relied on the Motorola 68K CPU clocked at 7.16 MHz, which was standard, but a bit limited for more demanding applications. The Amiga 1200 came with the faster Motorola 020 processor clocked at 14.28 MHz, doubling the speed and offering a much smoother experience for complex games and applications. The Amiga 600 featured the ECS chipset, or enhanced chipset, which included the Denise graphics chip. This supported a 12-bit color palette, allowing up to 32 colors on screen and resolutions up to 1440 by 576. The Amiga 1200, however, packed the Advanced Graphics Architecture, or AGA chipset, which introduced the Lisa graphics chip and a 24-bit color palette, expanding it up to 262,144 colors on screen. This AGA chipset enabled new color modes such as Ham 8, Hold and Modify 8, and 8-bit color, which dramatically enhanced graphical detail and vibrancy. The AGA's chipset capabilities allowed the 1200 to run AGA games and applications, adding a whole new dimension to its multimedia and gaming potential. The Amiga 600 shipped with 1 meg of chip RAM, expandable up to 6 meg, while the Amiga 1200 came with 2 meg of chip RAM and could be expanded up to 256 meg of fast RAM, which was huge for its time. In short, the AGA chipset, faster CPU and expanded color palette made the Amiga 1200 a true powerhouse, especially compared to the budget-oriented Amiga 600. The extra expansion options and capability to run AGA games and applications also positioned it as a more future-proof machine. It suited the needs of power users and retro enthusiasts alike. The Amiga 600 was all about compactness. It was smaller than the Amiga 500 with a sleek design that removed the numeric keypad to save space. It also introduced an internal IDE port, allowing users to easily install a 2.5-inch hard drive. But the Amiga 1200? Not only did it retain the all-in-one design, but it also managed to pack in PCMCIA support and an internal IDE port while keeping its larger form factor. It had more space for upgrades, making it more practical for users who wanted to expand their system with hard drives, memory, and external devices. The Amiga 600 was perfect for those who wanted a simple, compact machine, but the 1200 catered to power users who needed the extra muscle for productivity and gaming. Now let's take a look at how these machines fared in the market. The Amiga 600 had a tough time. It was seen by many as an unnecessary stopgap between the Amiga 500 and the Amiga 1200. While its compact design and added features were praised, it didn't quite capture the imagination of the masses, especially when the Amiga 1200 hit the shelves just months later. The 1200 was better received, particularly in Europe, where it became a favourite for gaming and multimedia production. However, due to Commodore's financial troubles, the 1200 didn't reach its full potential in terms of sales, and Commodore declared bankruptcy just 2 years after its release in 1994. Still, the 1200 sold more units and left a more lasting impact in the Amiga community. Fast forward to today, and both machines have carved out their places in retro computing history. The Amiga 600 has found a new lease of life in the modern era due to its compact design and ease of upgrading with modern storage solutions like compact flash drives. Enthusiasts also love it for its portability, and some have even turbocharged their A600 with modern upgrades like the Vampire accelerator. The Amiga 1200, however, remains the go-to machine for those looking for a balance of power, expandability, and compatibility. With the AGA chipset and its vast memory expansion capabilities, the A1200 is still beloved by Amiga fans who want to play modern retro games, run productivity software, or even connect their Amigas to the internet. Now let's talk about some quirky little details that makes the Amiga 600 and 1200 even more special. Some hidden Easter eggs on the motherboards themselves. The engineers at Commodore left a unique mark on each of these machines. First up, the Amiga 600. Its internal code name was Junebug, a name you'll find printed on all of its motherboards. A name taken from the B-52's song. When the Junebug blows down and yells, "Hey!" Then we have the Amiga 1200, whose codename was Channel Z, and if you open up any 1200, you'll find Channel Z proudly printed on the motherboard. Another nod to the B-52's song. So which machine wins this showdown? The Amiga 600 was compact, affordable, and introduced some useful features like hard drive support and the PCMCIA slot. But the Amiga 1200, with its advanced graphics, faster processor, and better expansion options, takes the crown as the more powerful, future-proof machine. Of course, the winner really depends on what you're looking for, portability or power. But for me, the Amiga 1200 stands out as the ultimate machine. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this trip down memory lane. For Retro Games Rediscovered, I've been Rusty Ingalls.